Hey everybody, so the half-ton diesel wars are really heating up, and we have some new information today to share about General Motors' all-new Duramax 3-liter inline-6 diesel that's going in the Chevy Silverado and the GMC Sierra. Now we have pricing details as well as power numbers, so in this video we're going to see how the new GM diesel stacks up to the competition at Ford and at Ram. So let's kick this off by looking at horsepower and torque. Now let's talk power. We just found out that GM's new diesel is going to make 277 horsepower and 460 pound-feet of torque. And the other thing that sets it apart is that GM's diesel is an inline 6. The engines from the competitors are both V6s. So if we're going to look at the Ford F-150's 3-liter V6, that engine makes 250 horsepower, 440 pound-feet of torque. Now moving over to the Ram, we have to make one thing clear. Currently, the EcoDiesel is not available in the Ram 1500. It is supposed to return to the market this year, but we haven't seen it yet and we haven't heard anything about it. Now, these power numbers came from Jeep. Jeep announced that the diesel will be going into the Wrangler, and when they did that, they announced these numbers. So there are no official Ram diesel numbers. These are just the most up-to-date power numbers on that diesel from FCA. So when the EcoDiesel actually arrives, it could be different, but odds are it's going to be the exact same. So what are the numbers? 260 horsepower and 442 pound-feet of torque, and that is up from what the last generation Ram EcoDiesel made. And now we have to talk about availability and price. So first of all, these brands are definitely taking different strategies when it comes to these 3-liter diesels. So when you look at the Silverado, you're going to be able to get the diesel engine on the LT and higher trims. That means the LT, RST, LTZ, and High Country can all have the diesel. When you're looking at GMC, every single GMC Sierra can get the diesel except for the base model. And if you didn't figure this out already, what that means is that the Silverado Trail Boss, the off-road model, won't get the diesel, but the GMC Sierra AT4 will get the diesel. So if you want the off-road gear in the diesel, you have to go GMC. Now looking at the other brands, Ford goes a little bit more luxury. To get the diesel, you have to get a Lariat model. However, there is a fleet option if you want an XL diesel. So, you know, each company sort of does things differently. And now that leads us to talking about the price. So first of all, what's it going to cost at GM? Well, the 3-liter diesel is a $3,890 option. Now that is on an LT model, and that is over the standard 2.7-liter inline 4-cylinder turbo. Now at Ford, its 3-liter diesel on a Lariat model is $4,000 more than the 2.7-liter V6 turbocharged EcoBoost engine. Now, it is not totally just fair to say, well, the GM is cheaper, because there's so many different factors here. You know, you have to look at what comes on each trim level, and we don't really want to get into the weeds, but there is something important that we'll share. If you do opt for the General Motors truck, that $3,890 is the exact same price as the big 6.2-liter gas V8. So now you can either choose gas V8 or diesel for the same charge. Now if you go to Ford, the $4,000 you spend on the diesel, that is the most expensive engine option. If you want to get the big 3.5 EcoBoost, that's only a $1,600 option over the base engine. So if you want the diesel from Ford, you're paying a premium to get it over its best gas engine, whereas GM has decided that the diesel and its most powerful gasoline engine will be the same price. And of course, the Ram EcoDiesel currently doesn't actually exist, so we don't have pricing for it. And one last thing to note, if you do go for the diesel in the GM over the 5.3-liter V8, you're going to pay $2,495. And finally, I want to wrap this one up with one more spec that we can compare, and that is when the engines make peak torque. So if we're talking about Ford, that engine makes its 440 pound-feet at 1,750 RPM. Pretty good, pretty stout for a diesel. Now looking at the new inline 6 from GM, well, that engine makes its 460 pound-feet at 1,500 RPM. So just a hair lower, but that's exactly what you want from a diesel, some nice low-end torque. So let me tell you guys, we're so excited to get our hands on one of these new GM diesels, and then of course to get all of these trucks and compare them. We're gonna tow trailers, definitely run the Ike Gauntlet, so stay tuned to TFL Truck for all of that stuff. And as always, leave a comment and come back to the channel for the latest news, views, and real world reviews. See ya.